Okay, welcome back to episode 2 of our patio hydroponics build out. If you haven't seen episode 1 where we actually went in and built out the Dutch buckets real fast with some PVC and stuff like that to get the drains going, definitely check that video out in the playlist. It's the video right before this one. Today what we're going to be doing is just a recap. We are taking my patio, Alyssa and I's patio that we literally haven't used in 800 years. It was a pretty much staging area for when we were remodeling the inside of the house, which after 3 years, we finally got done. So now we're working on the outside. We did rock and stuff like that. Earlier this week, redid all our flower beds with Florida specific plants to help with our water consumption, stuff like that. With the COVID-19, we are looking at getting back into growing fruits and vegetables, and just because I'm bored at home all the time. She's still working. I work from home, so outside of my office hours, I'm just sitting here twiddling my thumbs. So that's what we're doing today. We're doing it on the inside of my patio because my HOA likes to have a cow about everything. And I'm trying to protect the plants that we're going to be growing. It's not native to Florida. They're from, northern, more colder climates like tomatoes, strawberries, stuff like that. Where we live in Florida, if it's out in the sun 24/7, it's just gonna get tactical nuke striked and just be horrible. So with that being said, video today, we're gonna be setting up cinder blocks. We're gonna be doing the reservoir, punching holes in that, getting that all set up and how I'm gonna work with that, what type of pump I'm using. Like I said earlier, let me move this down a little bit. Yeah, the floor hasn't been done in like a very long time. So down the road, we might do something, I don't know. One thing at a time, right? I have cinder blocks. I'm gonna be stacking these cinder blocks up on as a platform with a piece of wood across it, and that's where my buckets are going to be sitting. I want them higher than my reservoir so my return 3-inch pipe can fit into the bucket itself. So let's get started with that. I'm just gonna take my bucket first. I'm thinking because I want this to be modular, I might put my reservoir bucket in the corner and then pretty much just start my platform right next to it. I'm thinking 2 cinder blocks high should be, that's gonna be perfect. Just like that. And then I have my gigantic piece of wood that I'm gonna bring in right now. It's just wide enough for the buckets to sit on. I just got this from Home Depot. It was like a $7 piece of wood. It's not pressure treated or anything like that. It might end up being a mistake not to get pressure treated, but it is what it is. I'm not staining it or anything like that. This is just a kind of a proof of concept. If it works well, then I'll go through and make this more official. So 2 cinder blocks high. The reservoir that we're using is literally a tote that I bought from Walmart, and it's 19 gallons. The reason why we went with 19 gallons is, in theory, everybody online, especially my friend Tom, who I'm building this build off of, it roughly says 2 gallons of solution per bucket. So I'm thinking each bucket will hold about a gallon in the bottom. So that's 6 gallons right there on top of the 19 gallons in my tank. That's a total of 25 a total of 25 gallons, which gives me about a capacity of 12 buckets. However, Tom says that there's a guy, I haven't found him yet on YouTube, that is running the same exact system that Tom copied off of, and the dude's running 35 buckets off of a 19-gallon tank. So that being said, we're gonna test this out. This is the setup so far. For those of you that like to visualize, my buckets will sit just like that. I'm actually gonna move that a little bit forward so my pipe can sit in front of the PVC, or the PVC can sit in front of the cinder blocks. So I'm looking at something just kind of like that for temp. Down the road, I'll go in and I'll secure it better so nobody falls into it and tries to sue me or anything like that. Not that anybody comes into my patio. So I'm thinking something just like this. For now, it's kind of a little bit wobbly. I don't know. Maybe I'll add a 2 in the middle to help distribute the weight. Because, I mean, the Paralite's not that heavy. Like a 4 cubic bag is like a couple pounds. It's just you don't want it to knock over with plants. 10-foot board, you want to give plenty of space for your plants to grow, especially tomatoes. In front of the reservoir will be my return line. Return line is going to sit just like, roughly like this. Boom, perfect. And then on the return line itself are going to be holes with pots for strawberries and stuff like that. Down the road, I'm going to add a a culture tank where herbs just sit on the top of it. I'll probably just use a smaller version of that reservoir with a NutriPlus A/B solution, and that will be where Alyssa can get her herbs from. This is mostly for fruits and vegetables that we're going to be growing. Okay, so let's get started on punching holes through the reservoir. So, see you in a second. Okay, so welcome back. This is what we're going to be working with today. Is we have a small EcoPlus submersible pump. It's the Eco 185. My guy Gary at Hydroponics Depot, it was $18.49. I really didn't check the price, to be honest with you. I just paid more for convenience. I was there that day. I didn't want to wait on Amazon. Amazon's looking at a 2 to 3 week shipping for non-essential items, and I'm all about supporting my local businesses, especially with COVID-19 going on. This is a 185, so if you're looking at the numbers, a 185 has a maximum head or foot of 4 feet, so it can go up 4 feet. Output is 158 gallons per hour, and it's a super small pump, so it's just going to sit in the bottom of my reservoir. I'm going to attach the hydroponics hose to this, run it in, and it's going to run behind my buckets, and then it's going to have feeder lines. This is the hydroponics hose that we're going to be using for this. You always want to make sure you get black, because if you don't, you'll get algae buildup. So the reason why all my buckets are dark colored or non-see-through is I'm trying to limit as much algae growth as possible. If you want algae, go with clear hosing. If you don't, make sure you get this stuff. It's amazing. It's super bendable. I think it's like for 25 feet on Amazon. It's like, I can't remember how much it is. It changes all the time, but I'll post in the description of this video all the stuff that I'm using and where to get it on Amazon. For right now, again, because I don't want to wait, Amazon's running like 2-3 weeks with shipping because of everything going on. I just went to my local Walmart. I got a air pump to help oxygenate the water so my roots stay healthy. It's just a one output air pump. Down the road, I'm going to get one for like, I can't remember how much it is on Amazon. Again, I'll post that in the description too. And it has, if I remember correctly, 4 outputs. So I'm going to be running 2 lines into this reservoir, 1 on each side roughly. And then when I expand out with Alyssa's herb reservoir, I'll run 2 in there for her also. So I have that. I got the bubble stone from Walmart, and then I just got 25 feet of airline tubing. So that's what we're working with. So let me get this out of the way. I have 2 holes that I technically need to cut for this pump alone. I need 1 for air, 1 for power. And this actually is, like I said, a submersible pump. It goes right in the bottom. So right now I'm just going to kind of figure out, my thing is going to sit like this. I'll probably just set that in here like this. Thinking that's what I'm looking for, because I want this is going to be towards the back of where my buckets are, and I don't have a lot of line this time around because I borrowed this from a friend because I didn't want to wait for shipping. So I'm just going to untangle that. Okay. And my main thing is I want to use the lid because I want to try and keep as much junk out of my reservoir as possible. So I'm actually going to be popping holes in the lid. And then where possible, I'm actually going to use one of my gaskets to seal it in to make it a nice clean seal. So I'm trying to keep the bugs out. That way I don't have to mess with anything. Okay, I got this. That'll be too small, so let me switch out my 1-inch hole saw to, I'm going to be using a 1 3/4. And this is going to be for my power. Just kind of a rough guesstimate here. I don't measure anything if you've noticed. So I'm just going to pop this in right here. Pop in. Okay, there's that. Okay. And then my power just gets ran through here. Down the road, I'll create like a flange for it to help keep it out. So that's my power right there. Okay, power's good. And then a little bit to the right of that, I'm actually going back to my 1-inch hole saw. And this is going to be for the water to come out. So I'm just going to pop that right here next to it. I'm trying to make it look nice. Boom. Boom. Oh, it's a little hot still. Now I just need my gasket. I had one left over. Where did it go? I'm gonna pop that into my lid right there. Boom. Take my feed hose, slide that right into there. Slide that down. It's not a perfect fit. It's not 100% sealed, but it's enough to just kind of deter anything from wanting to go in there and screw stuff up. So I don't have a lot of hose, so then it just slides on the top of my pump. Okay. And that's pretty much it for my reservoir, and then I can just lock that like that. Boom. And then I also have to do a small little air line. I always forget about these. For right now, I don't have any more gaskets. I got to buy some more on Amazon. I'll put those in the link description too for you guys. I'm just going to try and run this. Yeah, that won't work. So I'm just going to run it through my power line. So let me get my rock. I'm going to keep the entire line intact. I'm not going to cut it or anything like that. Now down the road, when I get my actual air pump that I want from Amazon, then I'll cut everything up, make it look all nice and stuff like that. This is just a temporary kind of run, so I just drop that in. I'm actually going to try and put it as close as possible to the intake for the pump, because I'm only running one line right now, which is, I would be more comfortable running two. I want this water to have as much oxygen as possible for my plants, so I'm going to put the pump right next to my intake for the water. That way I'm ensuring that I'm getting decent water. That's what you're looking at for my reservoir. I got air running in. It's just going in through the main hole for the power. Down the road, I'll turn this into a gasket, like a flange or something like that, where I block stuff off. And then I have my outbound line, which will have my solution run into it. This line that I'm going to actually use, I'm going to take the irrigation lines that you can get, and there's like little pick things that you can pop right into this line, and it'll feed water into a smaller bendy line that this will then go into my buckets to feed water. So this will get attached to my main line, and on here we'll actually have like a throttle valve, so I can turn it off and on, because one big thing is if you're messing with your plants, without fail, your pump will kick on and spray you with water, so you just shut off the valves. If we're draining the reservoir, which is people suggest every 2 weeks, I can just shut off all the valves, and at the end of my line will be another opening, and I can just take that and pour it into the grass and help my plants that are right to my left here. Okay, so that's this video. We covered a lot of stuff. Up next is we're going to be setting up the reservoir in the right spot. I'm going to be popping holes in the return line, getting that all mounted up and hid. And then I think that's like pretty much it. I mean, other than we got to do the perlite, we got to measure the chemicals for the reservoir for the plants to grow. We'll talk about that. We ordered those on Amazon also, so I'll drop that in the link. We highly suggest it. Tom told me about the product. I know Tom's my go-to guy. I'll have to get him out here one time to interview him for you guys. He's amazing with what he does with his stuff. It's a 3-part process of chemicals that you need to mix in, like powder. Honestly, like I wasn't very comfortable driving home with this stuff in my truck because it was just in baggies and had weird like numbers on it and stuff like that. And I'm like, great, if I get pulled over by a cop, the dude's gonna think like I got like some weird new cocaine or meth or something like that, and that's how I end up on like the front page of, hey, a teacher got arrested for drugs, and it's not really drugs. I'm just trying to grow plants, kids. So that's that. See you in the next video, episode 3 of our hydroponics build out. See you then. Boom.